We're back.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Build Brunch, the daily morning show where we talk about the latest topics in entertainment. I'm Brittany Jones-Cooper.
I'm Shannon Coffey.
I'm Allie Colbert.
And I'm Lucas Tim. Hi, everyone.
Welcome.
Woo! It's us four.
Love you.
Today we're going to talk about the latest buzz for the sequel to A Quiet Place. Frozen star Kristen Bell gets real about Disney's princess problems, and prepare to see double in Mark Ruffalo's new HBO limited series. Plus, Michelle Obama's official photographer, Amanda Lucidon, joins the table.
Yay.
But first, attention coffee lovers. You can now live and breathe coffee in a new Airbnb constructed by Dunkin. The coffee and donut chain has created a tiny house that literally runs on Dunkin. It uses coffee grounds as a part of the fuel for the Massachusetts home, which is listed on Airbnb for only $10 per night.
Wow, that is a steal.
Would you stay? Would you stay?
$10 a night?
Then what's wrong with it? Because like the lights don't really work. It's run off coffee. Like it's like, I mean, $10 a night. What a deal. But I don't know if I'm gonna.
I would totally stay. There's like this whole movement for like staying in tiny homes and people like building them.
Yes.
And I would never want to pay for them, but I would like to try one out.
I would like to try one out too. I imagine this Airbnb is like sold out for the next like,
Oh,
3
yeah, it's
years.
already booked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But can it not be in some town in Massachusetts I haven't heard of? Like, can we do it maybe a little closer to where I live right now? I mean, I don't know. It's just like this rural town. I mean, no insult to Massachusetts. I don't know what you're gonna do there in this coffee house.
Yeah, I do see a lot of those tiny houses like you mentioned on Airbnb, which I think look pretty cool. There's like also like vans you can live in and things like that. Like Lucas and I.
Yes, there's like those. Well, Los Angeles has these incredible like what are they called?
Airstreams.
Airstreams that are on like these incredible locations. You can watch the sunset. They're very, very expensive. They are not $10 a night, but they're always something I wanted to try because it looks so cool. It's like a destination, you know?
Yeah. Have you guys done Airbnb?
Oh yeah, all the time, like all over the world.
Would you prefer them to hotels?
It just depends on the experience. Like I think if I'm going on more of a budget trip, like a longer trip, it's just cheaper and it's nicer to be settled into a place. But if I'm going to like a tropical sort of destination, I kind of like the resort feel, so that's when I'll stay. But I've done like Europe on Airbnb is amazing.
Yeah.
You really get to like be in the community, like in the neighborhoods, and you like discover little local spots that you wouldn't discover otherwise.
Yeah.
Right, you're living with the locals.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. Do you ever feel like awkward? I'm living in someone's house. Like, no, I don't.
No, and honestly, a lot of Airbnbs are set up to be Airbnb.
Right.
So like, I don't think I've stayed in one that was actually somebody's home. I think they were like always managed by like some sort of company.
Yes.
So they're super clean. They feel like hotel rooms. Like there's no, you don't see like people's clothes or like personal photos or anything. It feels very like sterile and clean.
Yeah, I like Airbnb. I think it's fun, and you can, even if you're like locally just looking for a place to get away, like one week, my friends and I had a bad week. We were like, let's just get a house with a pool, and we could just have a pool to ourselves, and that was really fun. But I have heard a lot of funny stories where there was this one girl on Twitter who was like, oh, I got this apartment in Brooklyn, and she was from out of town, and when she showed up, everything was just like a lot creepier than it was. Like things, every painting on the wall was crooked, and it was like creepy, like sticks. Like it was basically the Blair Witch Project.
Right.
And she was like, it's haunted. I need my money back. And they gave her a full refund because she was like, there's demons here. And they were like, yeah, there are. What?
That is crazy, but I believe it.
Yeah.
One time when I did Airbnb, I was in Italy, and I rented this tiny little apartment. And I went in, and the guy who was renting the apartment, you have to collect the keys from him.
Yeah.
And he was like showing us the apartment, and we walked into the bedroom, and in the bedroom there was like a door that was open to like an unfurnished looking basement area. And I was like, what is that? And he was like, oh, that's not supposed to be open. That's for the deposit.
What?
And then took the door and swung it shut, and it just was a mirror.
Weird.
How creepy is that?
That is so creepy.
That's
like,
really creepy.
That was really scary. Like, I didn't want to like start something, but like I stayed there.
Yeah. Like if you don't give the deposit, is that where he puts your body?
I don't know. I was like, is that where you deposit the body?
Yeah.
That's exactly what I said. I don't know.
That's really fun. Do you ever feel like someone would set up an Airbnb and like just put cameras there and creep on you?
I thought about that.
I think about that all the time.
Yeah.
I can't pee without being like somebody's watching me.
Yeah.
It would be like a perv's ideal thing. Like have some stranger in your house, they don't know they're being watched. Like that would be so creepy.
Well, I actually know someone that kind of happened to.
no.
Oh.
There was my cousins rented out this like prom house in New York.
Right.
For their like prom weekend, and the guy said that he wasn't there, but he was actually like in the basement watching them on cameras, and he was arrested.
Are you serious? Did he go to jail?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So he did that on purpose. He did it. Like, he wanted to rent it to these
He
teenagers.
rented it to like teenagers, and they were like getting drunk and stuff, and he was watching them, and like they somehow like found him.
That's so creepy.
Black out the guy in the
Only
basement.
thing I take comfort in is, you remember Erin Andrews, that ESPN commentator? That happened to her in a hotel room. So really, people can be watching you anywhere.
Yeah, people are watching us everywhere.
That's the lesson
Just
we
so
need to
we
learn.
all
Is we are
know.
being watched at all times.
This is a nice morning.
Yeah, it really
It
is.
doesn't exist.
Dunkin Donuts, just invite us to come stay in this house, though. We'll happily do it.
Yeah,
Fun
we'll
little-
do it.
all 4 of us in this tiny house.
Yeah, I would love
Personally,
it.
I've had great experiences with Airbnb, and I love it.
Oh yeah, I use Airbnb all the time. Also, I really would love to stay in this Dunkin' house because they have a jacuzzi, and I would love it if it had like actual coffee in
my
it.
God.
It'd be so good for your skin.
You don't like hot
just be like-
coffee.
It's okay. I won't drink it, but I'll soak in it.
Okay.
Sure. In other news, NBC Office alum John Krasinski is breaking his silence. The actor and director of A Quiet Place just revealed that he's writing the sequel to this year's hit horror film. The highly anticipated follow-up is scheduled to arrive in theaters in May of 2020.
Ooh,
It's going to be an even quieter.
In honor of not.
He's like, I have an amazing sequel for A Quiet Place. It's just another Quiet Place.
Yes.
But what if it's called The Loud Place?
I knew you were gonna say that.
Such a dumb joke,
I don't
but
even
I love
mean
it.
that to
I love
be
it.
a bad joke. Like, if you saw the first one, did you guys see the first one? Yeah? It sort of opens itself up to maybe becoming a loud place.
Yeah.
Does it at the end?
It's kind of open where, like, you see some stuff going down. You're like, oh, they might be able to.
So what, they just
Yeah.
scream for 2 hours instead
Well,
of...
That would be cathartic.
Yeah, I guess so.
I feel like that's my reality.
That's what we need right now. We all see a scream for 2 hours.
I think the sequel will be them actively fighting these aliens.
Right.
Because in the first one, they spend the entire movie just trying to be quiet so that they're not attacked by these aliens. But in the second one, they have some newfound knowledge.
Oh!
And I think they'll be able to take these aliens
Well, they
out,
kill
which
them
would be a
with-
loud place.
They killed them with noise. They killed them with the sound.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't want to give everything.
It's over.
To give it away, I know. Just tell me what happens. I mean, this is cool for him. I'm so impressed that he's like a director, writer, producer. I mean, he's just Jim from The Office. It's
Yeah.
shrugging, doing this a lot, kind
He's
of.
Office
And now
Man.
he's making these incredible films. And they were going to move on without him because he was doing other stuff. He's doing that Amazon Jack Ryan show,
Yeah.
which is whatever. But eventually they waited for him because they couldn't find a good enough pitch, and he had this idea, and now he's going to do it again. So,
Office guys have glow-ups and
Yes.
they become studs.
For real.
They do.
and dramas.
So who's next? Dwight?
What, Rainn Wilson, what is he up to?
He's not having a glow-up.
He's not I don't think he likes it as much, though. I think he likes to do, like, low-key indie stuff.
My bet's on Phyllis.
Phyllis.
She's going to do something great.
Yeah.
Just watch out.
Stanley. I think
actually-
Stanley's ready for a glow-up.
Wasn't Marianne Roshkab, how do you pronounce her last name, from
Ooh.
The Office?
No. I think I know who you're talking about.
She's not?
I don't think so.
She's a comic
Yeah.
now, and she just,
She was in night school.
I don't know.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is a lot of comedians turning to dramas and becoming these like film creators. You know, Ben Stiller did it. Steve Carell we're talking about.
Yeah.
Jon
Yeah.
Favreau, he's doing The Lion King.
Oh, that's
Is he
so
really?
good.
I love
Yeah.
him in Chef.
Yeah,
That
he's
movie
great.
was so good for foodies. You didn't watch
Yeah.
it?
I do. I love
Oh.
that movie. He makes like an amazing grilled cheese in that movie.
Oh my God! That's all I think about because they bite into the grilled cheese and it's like,
Oh,
I'm
it
like, that
sounds so
crunch.
good.
Nothing's better than like a bougie grilled cheese, like a really good like. With like
I'm
really
actually
good-
Yeah.
okay with a homemade.
Oh, I like a bougie one.
Of course.
As
Right.
long as there's butter on it, I don't care.
Right.
Yeah.
What do we think about him and Emily? They're like my favorite.
Oh, they're so cute
They're the
together.
best.
I
That's
saw
the
them in
couple.
London years ago when they like just started dating, and it was like just so beautiful watching them walk in the gray background. I was like, wow, I hope it lasts.
Tomorrow.
It
they're
did.
Yeah.
Ouch.
It did. Well, anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
Frozen and Bad Mom star Kristen Bell is calling out problematic Disney movie plots. When speaking about Snow White, Bell said that she cautioned her daughters that it's not okay to kiss people when they're sleeping. Actress Keira Knightley also spoke on this issue, saying that she banned her children from watching Disney's Cinderella because Cinderella waits around for a rich guy to rescue her, which is not a message that she wants to send to young girls.
I mean, okay, I think not letting your kids watch Cinderella for that point is a little much. Like, you can probably qualify or like
Right.
disclaim the films in a way that is like thoughtful, but I don't know that I would not allow my kids to watch it.
Yeah, I think it's about having the conversations. We were not a big princess house. My mom just
No.
didn't like princess stuff, didn't think
Doesn't
it was
surprise
good
me
for
at
me
all.
to follow and watch. And the Disney princesses I loved were like Mulan, and she was like a fighter and warrior, and that's one that my mom let me. So I do think it is up to your parents to one, choose things that they think are positive for you, but like you said, then to have a conversation with you about it, and like
Yeah.
what's okay and what isn't okay.
Yeah.
We were a big princess house in my household. So I, of course, have seen all these films. I mean, absolutely. As a feminist, you look back at it and like these stories are regressive towards like female agency and women taking control of themselves, but they're incredible stories. I mean, I think, you know, Sleeping Beauty is my favorite, but arguably she's just a tall blonde who sings really loudly and just falls asleep and the prince saves her. I mean, nothing big happens. Belle, Mulan, Pocahontas slightly
way more
has more dynamic, more agencies of the 90s princesses. But this was so funny because Kristen Bell said this really about Snow White, how she used to point out to her daughters, like, you know, kissing without consent's not right. And the conservative troll Ben Shapiro was like, oh, so now we can't watch Disney fairy tales, Kristen Bell said, so blah, blah, blah. First of all, so a history lesson, Disney invented the kiss to wake Snow White up. In the original fairy tales, like Brothers Grimm, like a servant beats her on the side of the head and the apple comes off. So, okay, Ben Shapiro, that's the traditional text of Snow White.
That's exactly what I was gonna bring up too. In the Grimm Brothers fairy tale, Sleeping Beauty's raped and forced to father the children.
What?
Mother the children.
Well, that's the one. So the Grimm's fairy tales went through several.
Like they're really dark fairy tales. So like this version, just take it.
Take it, because the other
really nice.
Kids.
Yeah,
that's horrible.
It got those fairy tales got more and more children friendly as they kept being adapted. But then Disney, of course, took them and was like, you know,
we gotta make this nice.
Yeah. I think Keira Knightley also took issue with The Little Mermaid, Ariel, because she literally gives away her voice to be with a man. Which, when you look at it, that's really technical. Although I remember looking at or thinking about the plot, and I'm pretty sure that he still is about to marry Ursula until she goes and gets her voice back.
Right.
And her friends and family support her. So it really is about Ariel like coming back to her family, realizing that she is good enough, and that's when Eric falls in love with her. So I think if you stop there, you can say one thing, but if you let the story finish, you see the full picture, that I think could be a little more encouraging to girls.
Yeah. I like that take. I think that's a smart take on it.
Right.
I think it's like, I do think it's like we should be okay with allowing these stories to change over time because A, they have been, as we already mentioned, but also because it's just like it's not set in stone. And like Disney's constantly remaking these, especially in live action. It's like they're okay with changing little details, so we should be fine with it. I felt like this was really annoying when Me Too started, where everybody was like, oh, so now we can't have rom-coms.
Right.
And it was like, no, we can have rom-coms. They're just gonna include consent, which will make them sexier. You know, people usually like sex scenes when it's consensual. And I feel like now it's just so hard to any suggestion you make, you're like, oh, so we can't talk to women anymore. And I'm like, well, not if the first thing you're saying is I want to touch your labia. Like, be chill.
Right.
We're just asking for respect and consent.
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
They ask to touch your labia.
Sometimes the first thing someone says to you is like, well, hey, you got any cool holes? And you're like, go away.
Totally.
Yeah, we're not like exactly these people like, we can't watch Disney films. No, just like what you just said.
Yeah.
I think it's perfect. They are adapting them into live action films, and I've seen the live action of Cinderella and Beauty and the Beast. And actually, Cinderella, they actually changed quite a bit in a good way, I felt. They gave the stepmother more of a three-dimensional, like, why she's so evil. Like, Cinderella had a little bit more agency in it. So they are changing it. And, like, so this whole, it's ridiculous that people get in these fights. And like also the new princesses like Moana and Elsa and Anna and Frozen, those stories are really all about, like, Frozen's about the love the sisters have for each other, and then Moana's about her becoming a chief without any sort of man intervening. So
Love it.
Disney's adapting, doing new stuff. I think that's the modern fairy tale, which is Disney's already doing.
The one common theme they all still have is the dead parents. And can we please?
Except Moana.
It is so sad.
It's so
Bambi?
crazy.
Bambi killed me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Growing
you
up.
know what? Someone, I'm like rolling back to when we were talking about holograms.
Yeah.
Someone brought up the point that if we don't, if we keep like making everyone who passed away a hologram, that we're not going to be able to like let things go. And I was like, that's really interesting. I feel like Disney did help me realize like, okay, people die and I have to say goodbye.
That's a good point.
So without it, I think I'm scared that like when our parents die, we're just going to be like, and now I have a hologram of my parents. And they live with me always, and they make me grilled cheeses, and it's like kind of scary.
I would love that.
Really?
I mean, I just don't want my parents to die.
Yeah.
So I would go
neither
home
do
to
I.
a hologram of my mom and dad, and they would cook me stuff, and I'd be like, hi, guys.
That's so the next movie, that movie Her or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That's the next.
That's creepy, too.
That's a very creepy movie. That's the next to that version of that movie, which is like you just go home, your family's still around.
Ooh, that's a good Black Mirror.
Another good
Yeah.
pitch. We'll come with another good pitch.
Another
of the show.
great
You
pitch.
pitch a great shows, a movie.
We just like, have a really odd partnership with Black Mirror.
Yo, but how
Sponsors
creepy?
that pop culture.
How creepy would it be if your ex had a hologram of you and you were like, we're over, stop like making my hologram hang out with you. And they're like, nah. I'm sure a lot of my exes are trying to finger my hologram right now. I don't want it.
Don't want it.
Sorry, are your exes not obsessed with you?
No, I think mine hates me.
Okay, well, you're not seeing double, but Mark Ruffalo may be. The actor set to produce and stars identical twins in the HBO limited series I Know This Much Is True. The show will be based on the New York Times bestseller of the same name, which describes a family saga set in the 20th century America that follows the parallel lives of identical twin brothers. Mark Ruffalo, any Ruffalo heads up in here?
I think they're just called roughheads.
Roughheads, there you go, yeah.
He is always in Washington Square Park complaining about fracking.
Is he?
If you ever want to find Mark Ruffalo, a couple blocks down, stop the fracking.
Wow.
Is that true? Because I will camp out.
He literally, I always see him.
Oh my God, I've never seen him there.
Yeah.
I love that.
He's always like with like a hiking backpack and looks kind of tired. Am I talking to a homeless guy or Mark Ruffalo? I don't know. I'm gonna go check.
Yeah, you want to double check next time. I think he has some big shoes to fill. Obviously, some really prominent celebrities have played twins in very notable films and TV shows.
Yeah.
First comes to mind, Lisa Kudrow in Friends.
Oh,
She
shit.
played Phoebe and Ursula. That was
yeah.
huge. And then we have Lindsay Lohan in The Parent Trap. So he's really got to nail it.
Wow.
This is make or break. This
Yeah.
is make or
This
break.
is make or break.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also I think no one beats, and Sharon will agree with me, is Sarah Paulson in the fourth season of American Horror Story playing Siamese twins, because that was hard work. She had to film with like a fake head and then go back and film as the other twin with a fake head. That was some twin work.
That is twin work.
That is twin work that I hope he can.
Twin work makes the dream work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good one.
But this is cool. HBO, you know, HBO does these great limited series. So I'm excited to see. I've not read this book, but I'm excited to see if this gets made. It has a production commitment right now. It's most likely it will be.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool.
I'm gonna laugh if they recast him before he gets there. They're like, it's gonna get made, but we recast him with Lindsay Lohan. And we're like, oh, why'd we talk about that?
Lisa Kudrow.
Good job. Yeah.
Did any of you see Three Identical Strangers?
No, but
Not
I
yet.
know I saw
I
the
really wanna
trailer.
see
It is so good. It's a documentary about these triplets
Right.
who like find each other later in life, and they don't know that they're triplets. And it's a true story.
Literally blows my
Yeah.
mind.
It is mind-blowing. I mean, it is really cool.
It's insane. Is it still out in
scary.
theaters or is it now
I think
on iTunes?
it's actually now you could probably rent it on Apple TV.
Yeah.
It is like, it's one of those stories that you like watch and you're just like, I can't believe this is real.
Right, and when you hear them talk like, I always felt like something was missing, or I always felt, and then they find that they're triplets. It's just like,
And they're like, we knew the second we started
Yeah.
talking, we were like, oh, you are my brother. I love you.
that reminds me of the story. There were these two twins. One was like a YouTube star. It's actually a Netflix movie called Twinster, I think. She was a YouTube star, and then all of a sudden, her twin sister, who she didn't know about, all of her friends were like, oh, you're doing this YouTube thing. It's really successful. And she was like, no, that's not me. And then looked at the page and literally saw her face. And she ended up finding her twin sister, who they were separated at birth, through YouTube.
Oh my God,
Probably
that is
being
so
mad
cool.
she didn't have a YouTube following like
I know,
her
right?
sister. You're like,
Yeah.
fuck, what am I
It's
doing?
crazy.
That is really cool. I want to check that out.
always
What is it
wish I
called?
had a twin.
Twinster?
I think it's called Twinster.
You wish you had a twin?
I always used to wish I had a twin.
Really? Oh, I would fight with my twin.
100%. Especially if they're identical. The other person to compete with for attention? Are you kidding me? I would hate it.
My dad is an identical twin.
Oh,
Really?
I'm probably gonna have twins.
Oh, yeah, you are.
Yikes.
I know.
Get ready.
I know. I might adopt.
Okay.
I'll probably, because you know me.
Does your dad and his brother, like, do they act alike? Are they different?
My dad's brother is shorter and has glasses and is fatter. He's not watching. Sorry, Uncle.
Wait,
Okay,
so
cool.
are they still identical if he's shorter
Yeah.
and fat
Interesting.
and has glasses?
You seem unsure.
Yeah, I don't know.
He has a lazy eye.
Oh, okay.
But then he's not identical.
No, he might. I think he is
I
identical.
think you still.
I don't know.
Well, but aren't Mary Kate and Ashley not
not?
identical?
They're not. They're
fraternal.
fraternal.
They're fraternal twins.
Yeah, I can tell the
Maybe
difference like this.
they're.
Yeah, they're not
fraternal.
identical.
Identical
You know
is like
what?
literally.
My grandma said she doesn't. She's not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we phone her in?
Can we call Grandma?
Yeah, I
please?
bet your uncle's
not
just
around.
like some guy.
She said she needs
He's
to-
not even like related.
She said they never told her at the hospital.
Oh.
She's a mess.
They were like, can you just take these babies?
Yeah, maybe it was a different time. They didn't really.
Honestly, that is something that would happen in the 60s. My grandma's like, they don't know.
Yeah.
He's black.
You don't
dude.
They said they're both mine. It's
They don't
fine.
know. They look a lot alike.
Do they dress like that?
Yeah.
That'd be so
I do.
cute.
Like, I have friends that are twins, so it's always been interesting, like being friends with them and like,
Yeah.
you know, figuring out which one you like better.
Do you know any twins that hate each other?
No.
Oh, I know.
See, that's
I
why
know
I
one
wanted
set.
a twin, because it seems like they just love
One
each other no
set.
matter what.
One of them fucking hates the other.
Are they identical?
Why?
One of them's a bitch.
Okay. So she deserves
They
it.
know exactly. You know who I'm talking about.
That's the one you're friends with, though?
What?
That's the one you're friends with.
I can't say anything else because I'm afraid they'll see this.
Yikes. I'm gonna go through your Instagram follows and just be
I'll
like,
look for
who are the twins? Yeah, and then I'd be like, here's a clip.
One
Watch
of the
it.
twins is so bitchy and one of the twins is so nice, and I love the nice twin.
That makes up. Someone sucked up the niceness.
But you know, each twin thinks she's the nice twin, so they're both watching, being like, oh, I love Allie.
I cannot wait to read the comments on this story. But they're both watching right now.
I'm gonna
Which
post
one's
this.
the nice one,
I'm
Allie?
gonna post this and tag them.
Oh no. Let them kill each other.
Oh, man. Well, anyway,
this
moving
is
on.
some fun
Now it's time for our next guest. Amanda Lucidon is an award-winning documentarian and filmmaker who had the honor of serving as the official White House photographer for First Lady Michelle Obama from 2013 to 2017. Her new book, Reaching Higher, shares an insider's view on the role of the First Lady while sharing personal memories that reveal what makes Mrs. Obama so special. Please give a warm Build Brunch welcome to Amanda Lucidon. Welcome.
Thank you.
Such a big fan of Michelle Obama, and I
too.
got to go through this book. First, for you, like, how hard is it to pull together the images? Because I'm sure you took just thousands of pictures.
Yeah. Well, for me, for the Reach Higher, I wanted them to be photos that were really kid-friendly, that highlighted Mrs. Obama's important work that she did to make the world better for young people. Yeah.
So this is the children's version. You released a previous book.
Yeah.
Why did you want to make a version specifically for kids to look through?
Well, one of my favorite things about working at the White House was the fascinating history behind working there. And so I love to, to go into all of these rooms and learn about former first families and how they use the rooms. So I thought that would also be interesting information for young people. Mm-hmm. And also, again, the photos are so relatable for kids. She's so much fun, and I think that there were multiple entry points that I think this is a good audience for this book.
Totally.
Yeah, what I like what you do in the book, because I think people don't know this, is what exactly the office of the First Lady is.
Yeah.
People don't understand that title, First Lady, is relatively modern.
Right.
And, you've had Martha Washington, Eleanor Roosevelt, Hillary Clinton. Mm-hmm. That was more, they established it as a presidential advisor, and of course, Michelle Obama. So did you also seek to kind of define, this is what the role is and how Michelle Obama made it her own?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, because I thought that was another interesting way to present to kids is what does a First Lady do and what does a White House photographer do? And so, Mrs. Obama definitely, and I'll always call her Mrs. Obama. I know you guys call her Michelle Obama, but she'll always be Mrs. Obama to me. And I think that what she did was make the role her own, and she didn't have to do as much as she did, but all the amazing platforms that she worked on, Reach Higher, Let Girls Learn, Joining Forces, Let's Move, and I think that it's really important to share all the work that she did, and I think it's a way to connect the kids through the photos.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's so lovely. There are some photos we want to call out really quick.
Yeah.
I think the first one is one of my favorite, Barack and Michelle.
Yeah.
I think we pull that up. So take me through just this moment, like.
Well, I love showing this photo because usually the room's like, oh,
yeah.
But not in here.
Yeah, not this one.
Tough crowd.
Not in here.
But what I like about this is, photos really connect us through emotions, and I think when I look at that picture is, I just see love, and I think that's something that most people hopefully can relate to.
Yeah. And what were they doing?
They were setting up. Usually we cover all the events at the White House, so it was an outside organization that was setting up to do a PSA, and so they were moving their cameras from one shot to another, and she just leaned into him really quickly, and I barely had enough time to get my camera up, and it just lasted a few seconds, so I think I had 2 frames, and then the moment was over. So
is that, I feel like at being the White House photographer, that's kind of your best photo, sometimes taking for the moment, I need to get this, your critical eye.
Right, and that's the cool thing about being a photographer is it's your job to be observant.
Yeah.
You're just supposed to be there to be totally present. And so that's why I was able to absorb so much from my time there. I learned so much from Mrs. Obama that shaped my life as a person, So it's because I was there and I was taking in every word that she said and, making sure I was ready so I didn't miss moments like this.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
And when you're taking photos like this, was there an urgency to turn over your images? I know we're going to
Yeah. So when we were at the White House, shooting events at the White House, we would go back immediately and put the photos into the server. And the important thing is, like, we never deleted any photos. Like, so there's a few pictures of my shoes in the archive, you know, running with a camera, you know, accidentally.
I mean, there's probably more than a few.
Yeah. Good thing I wore cute shoes. So yeah, we would put the photos in the archive, but when we traveled, you know, I did that on my own. I didn't have an editor with me. So there, like I said, 4 million pictures in the Obama archive. And yeah, so that's pretty incredible. And,
wow.
And that was the most important thing, was that responsibility of, you know, you are documenting this presidency for history. So it was a job that I took really seriously.
Yeah.
But luckily, with hanging out with Michelle Obama, she always made it fun too.
That's so awesome.
Speaking of fun, I think we have another image of her in the garden.
Oh.
I mean, guys, she's just so lovely.
Yeah.
Well, the garden, Michelle Obama garden, was such a big thing that she came introduced to the White House.
Right, and this photo, we were actually going around to highlight innovative school garden programs throughout the country. And so this was in New Jersey and a rooftop garden, and these young girls were showing her how to compost. And so they asked, you know, did Mrs. Obama want gloves? And she's like, no, I don't mind getting my hands dirty. And so, you know, to the girl's surprise, she took a handful of dirt, and there was just like a little wiggly worm in there.
This is like making me miss them so much. It's like making me sad.
Yeah. I low-key was getting emotional over here too.
Yeah, so beautiful. Like the moments that they had in the White House are so special.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of, I think we have one more photo with her and the girls who. It's just like, let it just cry now. Just let it out.
Yeah.
So you got to travel with them around the world.
Yeah, and this was my first international trip to China. So, you know, I was the only official White House photographer to go, and I wanted to do a really good job, you know. So there were a lot of things, you know, that would go wrong on trips. You know, the things that you expect to happen don't always happen. And I think the key that I always try to share with young people is like, just, you know, you just keep, you know, you might get knocked down, just get right back up and keep rolling with it. And for me, like, such a great reward was to be able to make this picture at the end of the trip.
Right.
And, you know, just to see Mrs. Obama with her daughters, and, you know, like, as a new mom, that, you know, you see this woman who's such an inspiration, and with such a serious role and so many responsibilities, being a mother was her top priority. So it's always a good reminder for me. So
yeah, and you're one of the few female photographers in the White House. How did that impact? Because I'm sure your perspective as a mother taking these photographs really made those moments. So how was your whole experience in being a female photographer?
Yeah, so there are a few people in history that have had the opportunity to be a White House photographer, and even fewer women. So, you know, I felt like that the kind of images that I wanted to make, you know, not just to cover the events for the historical record, but really intimate and candid, and something that showed another layer of Mrs. Obama and her personality. And being a mother is actually, you know, like I said, one of the most important priorities. So highlighting that, and highlighting how nurturing she was with young children, and how encouraging she was, and, you know, to take the time at the end of each event to spend time, you know, sharing a kind word or a hug with somebody on the rope line. I mean, you know, that might not have been ideal for the people who were minding her time, but, you know, she always reminded us, it's like, you don't know what people are going through in life. You don't know what one kind word or a hug means to someone, and that is worth taking the time for.
You followed Michelle Obama during President Obama's second term, which is pretty important.
Yeah.
How did you land such an incredible gig? I know you're also a filmmaker, and you have a very diverse background. So how did you come to the White House?
Yeah, so I guess the shortest version of the story was I was a newspaper photographer. I took a buyout when the industry was in the decline. I moved to DC, to a place that I thought was plenty of freelance opportunities, but it's also a really competitive market.
Right.
So it was hard for me to break in. So I was doing the jobs that were paying my bills, but I always made time to do the stuff that I loved, which was my personal projects. And even though nobody was paying me to do this work, and it wasn't being promised to be published anywhere, it was this work that was winning me awards and bringing me to spaces where I met influential people like Pete Souza, which I think probably a lot of your audience know who he is. And so he called me up one day, because I met him at one of these events, and he called me up one day and asked me if I wanted to apply for the job. So, of course, my reaction was like,
yes.
You know this is Amanda Lucidon, right? I was pretty sure he was pranking me, or someone was pranking me, but luckily for me, I got to spend 4 amazing years in the White House.
Were you so thrilled when you got that?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, even when I went in for the interview, I took like a selfie in the mirror, like, because I was like, no one is ever gonna believe, I'm not gonna get the job, right? And no one is ever gonna believe that I was here, you know? So I was like, I just took a really bad selfie in the mirror at the White House so I could at least show people. So.
Did you get to meet with Mrs. Obama before you officially?
I met with her staff. Okay. There's actually a picture of me meeting her for the first time in the book, and it's sort of like,
hi, but take pictures of you for 4 years.
like I'm smiling so big I can't see out of my eyes. I have no idea what I said. And
I was gonna say, did you just black out? That's what
it was really important for me to have that experience because then I was able to recognize it in other people when they were having it. And so there's a lot of moments where kids are reacting to her, and so like I know what that feels like, and so I was able to, make sure I didn't miss that moment too.
Yeah.
So that raw reaction.
Yeah. Towards the end, were you more comfortable though? Were you like, all right, peace?
No, well, no, I think that's the cool thing about her and her team is that, at first maybe I was faking that confidence because it is such a big role.
Yeah.
But having that love and support around me by her team, they had confidence in me, and that made me have confidence in myself. And and I think that leaving the gates of the White House and having it, go forward in my career, that was really important for me.
And in the book, you write there's a phrase, the motorcade only waits for one person, and it's
not you.
That really stayed with you. Why did that phrase stay with you?
Because that was like my biggest fear was missing the motorcade, because especially if you're in another country, so you miss the motorcade, then you miss the plane, and then in my role, there are no official White House photos made of that event. So how do we share that with the world, right?
Oh,
so
that's really scary.
That's a little bit of pressure. So I made sure I was always like 3
miss
times
it?
early, so my heart didn't explode. Like I was always like, no, I never missed it.
Okay,
I
good.
never missed it. Other people missed it, wasn't me. I never missed the motorcade. Yeah.
And for you, what was the most memorable photo you took, or even event that you got to photograph?
Oh gosh, I think all of them. It's really hard for me to pick because each one has 100 stories behind it, and that was one of my favorite things was meeting all the incredible people as a storyteller with amazing stories. In Liberia, meeting the girls who shared about their determination to get an education, even though they had to overcome such overwhelming obstacles. Just to be in the room with them and just to be in tears because I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that this is my job, that I get to do this every day and I get to be surrounded by inspiration. I mean, how did I get so lucky?
And how the work that she is doing and continues to do reaches so many people. It would be amazing to get to just watch that firsthand.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, Amanda, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
So much fun. And you can pick up your very own copy of Reach Higher at a bookstore near you starting tomorrow. That's all from us today. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Same time, same table.